Okay?
Let's start, Leslie.
Okay. Good morning. I'm Leslie Castellanos, VP Business Development, and I welcome you all today to our International Annual Women's Day celebration. Vero, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. And as you know, this is a Point One CU webinar, a global webinar. So I will read the CU speech right away. Just 1 second. Okay, so this program has been approved by ICI for 1.1 CUs. Earning CU is not a requirement for general AICI membership, but it is necessary to obtain or maintain CIC, CIP, or CIM certification. Please follow this procedure. At the end of this session, please complete the participant training evaluation. Use the QR code on the screen that I will show you later. All attendees are asked to complete the PTE, even if not seeking CEUs. All members must log in into their AICI account to submit the form. The PTE must be completed before leaving or within 24 hours. Learning outcomes are listed in the PTE. CEUs are awarded even if not all outcomes were achieved. Your CEU record will be updated in your AICI member profile within 24 hours of submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Vero. Now, I'd like to invite our Global President, Shubha Joshi, AICI CIP, to give a welcome address to everyone. Good morning, Shubha.
Good morning, Leslie, and thank you very much. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. I am Shubha Joshi, your Global President, and today I'm really excited about this event. Today, as we celebrate International Women's Day, we also celebrate the strength, courage, and achievements of women across the world. This year's theme, Give to Gain, carries a powerful message. It reminds us that progress happens when we support one another, when we give our time, knowledge, encouragement, and opportunities to other women. We create a ripple effect of growth and empowerment. At AICI, we understand the power of uplifting others. Every time we mentor someone, share our expertise, or open doors for another woman, we are not losing something. We are helping the entire community rise. Let today remind us that success is not a competition. It is a collective, collaborative journey. The more we give, our support, our voice, and our belief in each other, the more we gain as individuals, as professionals, and as a society. Today, we also celebrate another organization that believes in the same mantra, an organization for women and by the women. One that champions functional luxury clothing for modern, confident women. Please put your hands together as we welcome Deirdre Quinn. If Rhonda, you could pin Deirdre for a moment. I'm greatly honored to have her here with us today. Deirdre Quinn is the co-founder and CEO of Lafayette 148 New York. A born entrepreneur, Deirdre Quinn's early love for the craft inspired a degree in fashion design. Her passion for production and merchandising led her to Donna Karan, Escada, and Liz Claiborne, where she traveled to more than 70 countries. In 1996, she joined forces with two other fashion veterans and visionaries, Shunyan Seo and Ida Seo, to found Lafayette 148 New York, creating one of the very rare vertically integrated fashion brands. More than 25 years later, Deirdre's boundless drive to discover what's next continues to lead the brand towards the future, including the move to a soaring, sustainably built loft space in Brooklyn Navy Yard. A member of the Fashion Institute of Technology Board of Trustees, Deirdre has a long has a lifelong love of learning and a devotion to philanthropy and enriching the world through education. Deirdre also serves as an associate partner with the Partnership for New York City and is a member of C200, a committee comprised of the world's most successful women corporate leaders and entrepreneurs. So I welcome Deirdre Quinn again, and another round of applause for her. Welcome, welcome, Deirdre. So
Thank
delighted to
you.
have you here today.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here, and for such a great reason. So I'm happy to share my story. Wow, time goes so fast. I can't believe I've been in business almost 30 years. So that's amazing.
Awesome. So, well, we are really excited to hear that story. And I was there in the New York Summit and thanks to Luna for organizing it. And that's when I met you. And I was so touched by the story and also what you do for women, by women, and for women. So that's when I decided that, yes, you would be a great inspiration for a lot of us and for our members. So over to you.
Okay, okay. Well, I was thinking about how's the best way to describe like my journey, right? Because I'm inspired by other people's journeys, so if I can help you with mine, I'm certainly happy to. Without taking too long, well, I'm very fortunate that I grew up in a household where my mother didn't sew. And so she had three daughters, and we all had to take sewing classes, as a kid, like fourth grade, very young. I fell in love with it, like so lucky if you find what you love to do. You always hear about it. You don't work a day in your life, but it's funny, it is a full circle truth that if you do find what you do and who you're on the journey with, it makes a difference. So anyway, I took that sort of skill or hobby it was back in the day and just did it whenever I had time. Along the way, my family moved when I was 17 to Louisiana. I don't know how, I know it's a very international group, but Louisiana is sort of very different than New York. So I ended up going there and trying to be in college for computers. My father wanted me to be in computers. He believed it was the future. He wasn't wrong, but neither was I, because I wanted to pursue what I loved. And luckily, I did that and went to college for design and quickly figured out I can't sketch. I'm not that talented. All right. Everybody on my left and right were absolutely amazing at what they were doing. And that feeling of sitting there saying, I think I made a mistake. Who's going to tell my father? Okay. And certainly not me. I pursued and just didn't give up and thinking that, I could prove to him that I was right. So I graduated straight A's, most outstanding student, and I literally can't sketch or draw. And so I love talent. I mean, I think that is what I recognized early on is you can't be everything to everyone. So you have to find what is your role in your career or in your company or in life in general. So I came back to New York and started a job at Liz Claiborne. I mean, as a kid, I was like 22, 23, and I was just so excited to work for a good company, and I try to teach that to the next generation. Don't worry about anything but building your resume from what zone are you in? Like fashion is like being a doctor. It's just a different kind of doctor, right? We're clothes doctors instead. So, there's so many. You want to be a hand doctor, a brain doctor. In the fashion industry, are you men's? Are you women's? Are you kids? Are you high end? Are you low end? Like there's so many questions out there. But getting a job at Liz Claiborne was like the beginning of a good move that I made. 6 years into it, 6 different bosses later, I was asked, one of my bosses said, look, why don't we go over to Donna Karan? They're launching DKNY. Now, as a female, I ended up in the production department because, again, without being talented enough for design, I love the manufacturing side of the industry. So it wasn't glamorous, as you girls know. It was, or maybe don't know, it was very much the boys' world back then. And I just ignored it. I didn't think about it. I didn't, I just still got the job done and whatever. So those 2 years at Donna were really good for my sort of resume, my career confidence, if you want to call it that. That Liz asked me to come back each year for 2 years. And on the second year, I went back. And part of the reason I went back wasn't the title. I really don't care about titles. I still don't care about titles. I respect them. I think that they are important in your career. But I think more important than the title and the money is the journey. So I went back to Liz as a vice president in my 20s, late 20s, making 5 times more than I made when I left. And I do believe I had to leave in order to get to the next level, both as a confidence, as a professional, but also as, just learning something besides one company. And when I do tell people they should, go work somewhere else if they're young, sometimes they're really shocked that I would say that to them. But when they come back, they are the best, most loyal of all because they've had a chance to learn different styles of business. Having 10 bosses. At the end, I had 10 bosses in 10 years. All right, so what did I do with all of this? I really became a troublemaker, a trouble solver, not maker, for production. We would be making clothes all over the world, and you kind of get what you pay for, right? So we'd be making shirts in Haiti for $3. I mean, of course, there's going to be problems. Delivery, quality, there's just many problems. And then it went on, Sri Lanka, India, El Salvador, just all over the world. It was like, oh, send Dee, she'll solve it. I ended up in Korea for 6 months because they shortened 300,000 skirts when fashion was dictated to you. And wow, what an experience to live there. I ended up living in Israel for 3 months as a young girl because they had an office in Israel and they wanted to send the boss from the office to New York for 3 months training, and they asked me to go live in Tel Aviv for 3 months. Again, an unbelievable opportunity to see the world. So when I left Liz the second time, I left because I didn't feel like I made a difference. It was still a great company, but my father got Alzheimer's at 59, and it really shook my world. I'm like, wait a minute, he's not going to know who I am. And like you look at your life and you think, what am I doing with my life? And I did feel that way. So I ended up leaving a lot behind and moved to Hong Kong for 2 years at 33 years old and by myself. And I think so many people were shocked, like, wow, what are you doing? And I'm like, it was great. I started working for Germans and Italians. So Escada, Ermenegildo Zegna, still working for some US brands, living on the other side of the world. Wow, it was like a 24/7 sort of job, but I loved it. But you kind of wake up sometime on that and say, wait a minute, I love my family. I come from a huge family. I miss America. I never really wanted to be an expat. I just wanted to learn. I love to give back in education because I also love to learn from other people. So I moved back to New York at 35, and I didn't know what to do with my career. Honestly, I was like, oh, Dad was right. But this gentleman, this husband and wife made clothes for me throughout my career. They were always a jacket factory that you needed, even though you were sent to find cheaper production everywhere else in the world. You need a jacket factory in your backyard. You need some suppliers near you for emergencies, for quick turns, because it was good stuff too. Their jackets were tailored to perfection, and I saw a lot of bad stuff out there. So he was like, "What are you doing, Dee?" And I'm like, "You know what? I'm just I don't know. I think I'm going to go teach school." And he literally said, "Let's start our own brand." Gave me a deskaphone and $1 million inside his jacket factory. So it sort of went from career one, which was being a corporate executive, fighting the fight, running around the world, figuring out problem solving and manufacturing, to, are you going to make all the clothes? So him and his friends in New York, the dress factory, the blouse factory, the pant factory, everybody got together and said, you don't have to worry about manufacturing, even though that was my background. You're going to run the company, including design. Now, so that full circle degree in design is back, because I have to manage designers and I'm not that talented. But what I learned is it's okay. There's a left brain, right brain that goes on in every industry, and together you win. So we just started building the company. And I kind of separated at this point, because you girls will need a lot more time, into 5-year segments. So 1996, 30 years ago, the first 5 years were the hardest 5 years, right? We kind of knew who we wanted. We knew who we wanted to be. We knew who our competition was. And I always try to tell people, you've got to know who your competition is. All right. And so we focused on them. And back then, and competition changes, but back then it was 3 brands: Anne Klein, Ellen Tracy, and Dana Buchman. And they were $1 billion business. And all we wanted was 10%. We'll just figure it out. We'll make better product than them in order to compete with them, because we were vertical and we owned the factory. We could control the quality. We could control the fit. We could control so much more than I knew other companies couldn't, because I ran around and tried to solve their production problems for them. So that was all hard work. We were made in New York City, which unfortunately wasn't a profitable venture, but startups usually aren't. Anyway, and then 9/11 came, and we were in Lower Manhattan when the planes went through the Twin Towers. And that was the beginning of, whoa, that was so hard. Everyone pulled their work out of the factories. We were shut down. And my business partner came to me and said he was going to move back to his hometown after 40 years in America to save the company. So the commitment wasn't just mine, it was my partner's as well. So finding those loyal partners that, you're all rooting for the same thing, whether it's survival in the beginning or protecting a brand later on, there was no question that we would do what it took to save the company. So the husband and wife moved back to their hometown, and we ended up, like, wow, it was incredible. When they flew me over there, and again, I've seen garment factories like incredibly large, successful, all over the world. I get to our factory back then, and it's in a hotel room, and it's 3 sewers, a cutter, and a presser. And he asks me, what do I think? I don't even know how to answer that question. I was so shocked that, what do I think? I'm thinking I'm crazy. And instead, I said, what do you think? And he said, we're going to be fine. And I don't know if you've ever worked with someone that you have confidence in, that you believe they don't just say you're going to be fine, they make sure you are. He was that kind of man. And so Okay, good. I'll just keep doing my job. You keep doing your job. And in that next, phase, the 5 to 10 years, we had that recession of '08. And as entrepreneurs, what are we going to do now? Right? A recession is an opportunity to change. And so we decided to go into the catalog business. We were 99% wholesale brand, direct to consumer. So we go into the catalog business, we drop 11 million catalogs within 1 year, and the business went on fire with the website. I was not expecting that. Wow, it told us there's a consumer out there that is looking for more of our product and is willing to come to us directly. So that was a nice surprise. So by the end of that next, like, let's say the 10 years in business, we were 70% wholesale, but 30% direct to consumer. Then I'm going to jump to the next 10 years or we will run out of time. My lovely business partner got sick and passed away. And I was devastated. I mean, I didn't want his job. I didn't think I could do his job. He had this vision. I used to ask him, how do you get a vision? And he did tell me it gets clearer with age. Wow. And within 18 months, he was gone. And everyone's looking at me like, are we going to be okay? Sort of the way I looked at him. And I was like, of course we are. We're going to figure this out. And believe me, over the last 15 years, there's been times where, like, I've thought about it, and we'll get into, COVID and tariffs and all that. You know what? You just don't overthink it. I try to tell people, just get in there and keep going, right? And surround yourself with people that believe in you. So we ended up my first big decision, let's say, without my boss around to tell me what to do, was the rent in New York City had went up so much that over the years it went from $9 a foot to $90 a foot. That's like, wow. And it was just the biggest expense the company had. So as you go and you look at your P&Ls and you're like, what is my biggest expense and how is it the smartest expense? So in this case, it was rent. We were working for the landlord. And I made a decision to move the company to the Brooklyn Navy Yard, leaving the street address that we named the company after. So again, not being the designer, I didn't want it to be my name. Instead, we named it, I joke around now because, like, we're not French. We're a very proud American design house, but the name is very French, and we've had to deal with trademark disputes, especially with Paris and Galeries Lafayette over this. We meet, we talk, we globally coexist, but that was a little bit of if I could redo it, the Gap seems like a really smart name. It's short, it's sweet, it's easy. Lafayette 148, New York, I can never get rid of the numbers 148 because I'm infringing on the trademark of the word Lafayette in France. I can never get rid of New York. Well, I don't want to get rid of New York. I love being a New York brand. So our story is our name, and a name is really important in my opinion. Anyway, then COVID. No, the first tariffs hit in 2019. Now we're vertical, but we had moved the factory to China. So, wow, didn't expect I was going to have to pay all those tariffs. We figured it out. We survived it, but then COVID came. And COVID was, besides losing my business partner, one of the worst days of my career. So I don't want to paint this beautiful sunshine picture. I'd rather paint the struggle picture. I have this little chart. In red are the tough times, in black are the great times. So, you can look back and say, look, I'll show you guys. It's right here. All right. These charts are everything to me because when you step back 5-10 years, there's not a lot of red. There's some red, and there's plenty of green, and there's this mission to keep going because when you get to build something like this, your job turns into protecting it and driving it forward. So during COVID, we had every single order canceled that we didn't ship. Wow, what am I going to do with all these goods? Like, I couldn't believe that that could happen. Anyway, we survived that one. We opened pop-up outlet stores. We slowed down manufacturing, and we pivoted to more direct to consumer. So at this point, and I say this point because we're now on the second round of tariffs, department stores have struggled. I'm sure you've read plenty of it in the newspapers. We're now 80% direct to consumer. And wow. Now, being 80% direct to consumer is a lot of hard work. Instead of shipping one customer 500 jackets, which I used to do to Saks, we have to ship 500 one pieces to 500 customers. Okay, so you changed everything. You changed your distribution center along the way. Actually, more important than anything, we brought it into the Navy Yard. We believe time is money and efficiencies are everything. You know, fashion is a fast industry. All right, I don't boat anything because you would prefer to be closer to what you need and more accurate in what you manufacture. So again, that's a niche we're in. We're in a high-end women's luxury business, and I do have the luxury of waiting for that. You know, so I met the last owner of Liz Claiborne about a year and a half ago when I was just getting into retail stores because we were in a retail company. Today we have about 35 stores globally. We have stores in China, Canada, the USA. We certainly have wholesale. We're in Harrods now. We're showing in Paris at the moment. We're expanding globally, but we're still a very American distributed brand. We're much smaller than we were during COVID or before COVID. I'm okay with that. You know what I have learned, and again, you read all this, you hear people like me, I'm sure you have your own experiences. Growing top line without bottom line, you don't need to. You need to do is make a profit because businesses are meant to, of course, find that line between profitability versus risk, okay, versus investing in some R&D and testing new things. It's the only way that I think that's what entrepreneurs do. I'm convinced of it. I agree. I know now I was probably a born entrepreneur because I had an older sister. I always tell her this, that told me what I couldn't do. You know, she'd get in trouble. She was the oldest, and I would get what I wanted, but not by fighting, just by figuring it out. So, that's pretty much the journey. I think protecting the brand has always been my biggest job. A lot of people come in, they want to know, why don't you do men's? What about kids? How about shoes? We've tried different things. And we always go back to our strength. So again, I do think focusing on who you are and what you are is super important. I mean, you're really lucky if you can focus like that. And again, we changed. We're no longer competing with those brands because they're all gone. One of them is owned by Kohl's, one of them is owned by Macy's. I don't sell Kohl's, I don't sell Macy's. It doesn't matter to me what they do. What matters is, who are we today? Who are we servicing? Who's our customer? What do they want from us? Right? Is this okay? Am I speaking too much?
No, it's wonderful.
Okay.
I'm even making notes.
Okay. I hope my journey can help any of you that are on your journey. It's a good one. Now, today, honestly, I feel so lucky that I got to get this company this far. We're privately owned. We never took on investors. There was close calls along the way. Believe me, there was close calls. I was going to put my house up for sale. I don't recommend that. Okay. But, there are risks that you take in starting a business, right? And there's failures you make. And I have learned that you have to fix your mistakes fast. And then the ones that work, like moving the company off of Lafayette Street, the landlord was like, you can't leave. You named the company after the address. See ya. Sorry, I do have a bit of a cold. So yeah, no, we're over here in Brooklyn. Moved the warehouse in. We've got 200,000 square feet here. I love coming to work. I live across the street. That's a little secret that my business partner absolutely positively made sure I could walk to work every day. So I have a home up on the Hudson. I love my home. It takes too long to get here. He wants me here.
Oh, I was just about to say that we were lucky to look at your office and also the beautiful surroundings. I'm not sure if people would be able to look at it. If you could,
Yeah.
click
I think it's on our website,
Oh.
it's so is our factory. We built a 240,000 square foot manufacturing facility. We literally make everything inside this compound. And honestly, in our peak before COVID, we manufactured 850,000 garments a year. Today, it's 270,000. That's a huge turn. Our volume isn't down as much as our units. We decided to buy better fabric, more expensive manufacturing, more tailored, more special, and get paid for it. So, as a brand, you also have to make a decision. When all of this change happened, I would get calls from some accounts saying, you can't raise your prices that much. And I don't have a choice. And then there's customers that were angry, and that's not a lot of fun. But I always remind people you can buy it on sale as well. We don't buy for off price, but we have leftovers. Anyone in this industry does. It's so complicated. I think we have 70 different sizes because we do a full petite range, we do a full large size range, we do a regular Missy, then we have the PSMLs to the XXLs, and we have a fit for our stores in China that is more Asian body, which is not an American petite body. So, what we've done is we've really focused on the product. We buy the most expensive fabrics, and when you're buying fabrics from Laura Piana, they're not negotiating a better price. If you can't afford their fabric, you shouldn't buy it, and that's their attitude. Now, I get it, because the amount of work you put into a garment, most people don't even realize there's 100 operations to just make a jacket. I mean, it's like any other industry. It's a complicated business. When the tariffs hit and they were up to 145%, I believe, last year. I don't know, how involved you guys were in that. Oh my God. I definitely spoke out. I was going to be out of business. I had no problem. I spoke on the press. I spoke wherever I could because I wanted to save my company. Now it's settled down. All right. And people even this morning are emailing me like, are you getting a refund? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. That would be nice, but I don't run my business that way. I just get up every day, come in here and try to make a better collection. I surround myself with talented people. My head of design, I adore her. She's, I give her the ability to stay creative. There's times in a design industry that if creatives don't have a voice at the table, honestly, they don't design as well because they're nervous. And what you really want to do with them is let them be the butterfly, okay? And don't hold them down. And don't worry, we got this. And then that balance between sales always wants, and for anyone that's in sales, I don't mean this negatively. My older sister's in sales. Sales always wants what sold yesterday. And design wants to teach you what you don't know you need, right? We all have enough clothes in our closet. Or people used to ask me, who's your competition? It's her closet. We all walk in our closet. I'm sure, girls, you've got 10 white shirts and probably 10 black pants, if not more. Which one do you pick every day? You pick the one that makes you feel good. You pick the one that you don't have to think about it because you got enough to think about, right? Clothes give you confidence. I've seen it. I've seen it in myself. When I have to get on a stage and I speak at Columbia and I speak wherever I can because it's part of my giving back. It's important what I'm wearing. It's important how I feel, and I love that our company is one that we build it, we protect it. It's an important part of what it takes. You could build a brand and it could take you 30 years. You could destroy it in a year, and the first way you can destroy it is buy cheaper fabric, right? It's like owning a restaurant and you just don't buy the right food, right? Or not listening to your customer. I mean, I know there's a lot. It's really important to listen to your customer, but that's just part of the decision-making process. We're known for beautifully tailored clothes. So when COVID hit and we had to be casual, right? Everyone was casual. I didn't switch to casual. That's not who we are. Instead, we started selling blouses are about 18% of our business. During COVID, it became 65% of our business. It was like everyone was on the screen with their shirts on. Jackets went down a lot, like to 14%. Today, it's over 20 again, right? At its peak, it was 24. But a jacket isn't a jacket like it was. If you go back 30 years ago and pull out a jacket, it's a tailored shoulder pads. That was the way fashion was. Today, it's comfortable. It looks finished, it looks polished, but it feels different. Your lifestyle and how you want to feel in your clothes is a really important thing as well. Look, I love the next generation. This fashion industry is a young industry. So the new ones come in every year and they're so excited. And the first thing I try to teach them is you have to figure out what you want to be in this industry. But you don't have to know it. You just have to figure it out. So whether you're, someone like me who went to school for design that ended up in production, that finally learned from another entrepreneur how to run a business and a P&L. I had no experience at that. Or, when people ask me today, what was your vision? My vision was to not work for people I didn't respect. Simple as that. I worked for a lot of tough people that I learned from, and a couple of really nice people along the way. But, my vision today is to keep it going. This is my legacy. I've never been a person that wants to sell out and have somebody tell me, the first thing they're going to tell me is buy cheaper fabric. I know it. Or maybe get rid of me and then buy cheaper fabric because I'll probably fight it too much. Less is more in many ways. Clothing has changed. We've always believed it's investment clothing, right? You could have a beautiful piece of our leather. I have some of it 20 years in my closet. I take it out, I put it on, it's still awesome. So, the trick is to stay the same size if you can, okay? But, clothing has also changed. Another secret to success, if I was to say what I think it is a culture of a company. Our values are kindness, intelligence, and integrity. I love those values. I believe in them. I believe that you can get what you need by being kind, right? Your reputation is everything. And you have to keep an eye on that. Giving back is just, I think that should just be part of everybody's life all the time, right? I try to, I don't try, it's just part of like who I am. Finding awesome partners. Oh my God, I didn't interview for who's going to be my partners. It was instinct, right? These are people whose core values were very similar to mine. We just wanted a chance to compete with big companies. And Mr. Su's English wasn't that good. And all my friends are like, wait a minute, you went from being a vice president at Liz Claiborne to now you're working in a garment factory in Chinatown? What are you doing, Dee? And then here's Mr. Su on the other side who said to me, I only had one arm till I met you. And thanks to you, I have two. Because he felt handicapped because his English wasn't that good. He wasn't going to deal with the department stores, and in many ways, even the banks, or even anybody in managing the people in the company. He was a very different manager than me. He would vent to me all day long, and that was it. And then I had to get the job done. So, I went home nights crying. All right. I'm sure we've all went home and dropped a few tears, maybe even at work. Those things teach you, right? But your instinct has to take over. And I guess as an entrepreneur, which I didn't know I was until Ernst Young, and I love them for this. They do an Entrepreneur of the Year program. Actually, they're doing a global one in Monaco in May, and they've asked me to speak on the stage. And I'm happy to do it because I don't have to prepare. This is just kind of who I am. And so the decisions you make, you live with. So one of my favorite decisions is the extra buttons, right? So, at Liz Claiborne, I was in charge of the extra buttons. It was a very important job, right? If there was a big one and a little one, you needed one of each. I mean, I spent so much time with the envelope and the string and the whatever. Now I start my own company, no extra buttons. All right, because you guys, nobody uses them. They cut them off, they throw them in a bin, and then when they need them, they can't find them. But if you call Lafayette and you ask me for 100 extra buttons, I'll FedEx them to you. Because I don't mind that. It's not about being cheap, it's about being smart, right? It's about being practical. And common sense prevails. When I'm not sure how to make a decision, I'll get back to you. That's a big one for me. I just want to think about it for a minute, right? Because, at the end of the day, as a leader, people follow you because they believe in you. They trust you with their future. They trust you with their careers, and without them, I don't want the job. I am not as, I watch the new talent that comes in here. I'm just excited to help them figure out this industry. So that's the story.
Wonderful.
I didn't even
I
look at
was
what time it is.
Yes, pretty much on time. In fact, I was about to ask you to share about the button ingenious way of incorporating it. I simply loved it when you shared it earlier. So I think it's a
Yeah.
very smart way of also not just saving the resources, but also, like making people think, do you really need it?
Right. Just because you did that doesn't mean you have to do it. And I think as entrepreneurs, we're constantly challenging what we're doing, right? Like, how can we be different about it? And not just different for the sake of being different, just being smarter, right? It's great at some point because you do become a boss and you sit back and you listen and you think, and then you suggest a smarter way, a better way, a more efficient way. I mean, this whole AI world that's coming up. I had to make a speech, 2 minutes. I had 2 minutes to plead my case to the Susan Wiles, the chief of staff in Washington regarding tariffs and all of this stuff. And you know, I went to somebody, I said, okay, I'll talk and you tell me how long this is taking. 3.5 minutes. Now, I had to get on in 15 minutes and only talk for 2 minutes. He put it in the chat GPT. It spit out a 2-minute speech that was the best thing ever, taking my 3.5 minute and making it 2. I get on the call. I was so excited because I did it the right way, what they wanted. And then Susan Wiles opens up the conversation with Deirdre. Everything in my closet is Lafayette 148. Well, like I wasn't expecting to hear that. And you know what? When I get to go back and tell my team, can you imagine? Right? This is like what dreams are made of. But we have to protect the dream, protecting it by making sure that we stay focused on who we are and not worry about servicing everybody, because you can't be everything to everybody. You have to pick a lane.
True, true. So, Deirdre, thank you so much. But I do have some questions, and also I would love for you to share your contribution towards women, women upliftment, and also the children. Your organization is helping them, so it would be great if you could share about
Sure.
that as well.
So we are a women-owned and women-run business. Now, not in the beginning. Mr. Sue was the boss, and I was one of the girls, okay? But, sorry. We were dressing women. We knew exactly who she is. We are the customer. Most of the employees in this company, whether you're right out of school, you can't afford our clothes, but we have a store for our employees. God, they're so excited. And by the way, when I was at Donna Karan, same thing. I couldn't afford the clothes, but the company store was a little surprise. And once you wear the clothes, you relate to them. So it's sort of like drinking the Kool-Aid. Today, we are 75% female-run company. And I'm really proud of that. And I have no problem with men. I love the balance of girls, girls, girls. Let's hear what the guys have to say, okay? Because they do bring another perspective to the table. But we are the customers, so that helps a lot. So again, I love mothers. Working mothers know how to multitask. They come into work, they get their job done, they got to go home, they got a lot more work to do when they're not working, raising a family. So I have a really special spot for women and helping women balance all of the challenges that they have. Children, you know, it really, I mean, look, I always wanted to give back to FIT. I mentioned earlier I wanted to be a teacher. So like it's natural for me to want to pass this industry knowledge I have along. At the same time, Mr. Sue goes back to his hometown and we immediately become successful because the cost of manufacturing, it's sort of like when we moved to the Brooklyn Navy Yard, we saved $4 million a year in rent. That's a lot of money. 4 million a year in rent. So going back to your biggest expense, a lot of people are like, you can't leave. Well, and other people, you know, my head of HR is like, Brooklyn? What about us Jersey people? And I'm like, I know, you know, and like we've worked it out, and I didn't lose a lot of people along the way. I lose some. They don't want to come out to Brooklyn. Brooklyn is New York. I have a great view of the city. Anyway, so you think about Mr. Sue gives back to his hometown, right? Because he was so grateful that our business is thriving because we're just more efficient. I mean, you could say, look, back then, and we're talking like 2002, a sewer was $10 an hour in New York back then. It was $10 a day in China. So he said, look, it's 10 times more efficient, but they're much younger and we're not employing kids here. Okay. We have a school, but they're not sewing. Okay, 20 times because they're twice as fast. Because today it's really hard to find young people that want to sew. I get it. So what they want to do is they want to be in marketing and they want to be in design, and you have to support all of these other industries within your business by not saying, well, we're going to be out of business if somebody doesn't make the clothes. And believe me, with my background, when the tariffs hit, everyone's like, you're going to move the production? We're not moving the production. Okay, we're going to get paid for it. We're going to deal with it. But I know, I mean, supply chain is my background. So I feel very lucky that I had that early background. So anyway, Mr. Sue wants to give back to his local community. And so he found a school where these children are not our workers' children. They were poor kids that go to, you sort of like, think about like, well, just use America. If you're born in New York, okay, you stay in New York, you have a job in New York. If you're from Texas and you want to move to New York, your children can't go to the public schools because they really like to keep you where you are. So, but people move because they need to make more money, right? So their children ended up in this private school that was underfunded. The kids were sitting on pretty much dirt. They weren't getting an education. They didn't know how to read or write, and it was a big problem for him. And it was his hometown. And I am the first to support. I don't care where in the world you help people. It's we're all humans, right? So he started the school, and we began with like 30 kids in a class. We brought teachers in from around the world. The school's now been, I think it's 15 or I was around 2005. All right, so maybe it's over 20 already, right? And wow, we've got 300 kids, and we teach them confidence and how to read and write and how to do math. And we've even gotten them into the public schools now because it's amazing how confidence is equal in education as an education, right? If you think you can, you can. I used to be embarrassed because I do not have I have an associate's degree, and Mr. Sue didn't have a college degree. So we're like, we better not tell anyone, right? I love education. I believe in education, and I will continue to make that a main focus for us along the way. But so giving back to the school is really important. You cry when you go there because these little kids stand up and sing you happy birthday in English. They're like, wow. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. So it's all good things.
Beautiful. And that's how you and your organization is giving back to the society and helping the children and helping women. It's so amazing. So thank you so much, Deirdre. It was not only touching, but also very inspiring. Like I said, I also made some notes. I love certain phrases that you said, especially when you said surround yourself with people who believe in you, because they are the ones who would push you towards achievement. And also the charts that you have. Wonderful. I think it's
Yeah,
very
thank you.
fun.
I have employees that have been with me 30 years. I mean, that's a burden you carry. It's them, it's their families, it's their lifestyle, and it's a trust thing. They trust you because you keep your word. I'm honest. I open my books to my employees. I let them see how we're doing. I let them share in the profits and help me when there's pain points. And it has never done me wrong. Honestly, I love to work here. I don't consider it my company. I consider being part of something special that you build on your journey. And we're again, even taking this phone call, if I can help in any way, make a difference to somebody who I was listening to calls, I was struggling at times. It helps. So sorry we didn't have time for Q&A.
Yeah, just in case you have any questions, I was about to say, but it's been wonderful. Leslie, do you want to ask the members if they have any questions?
Yeah, let me read some beautiful messages for you, Drade. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. Um, Carolina said, I admire how you stay aligned with your values. Your story was truly inspiring and incredible generous. I do love your fabrics. What do you see for the future of fashion in your company?
Great question. So,
Um,
go ahead. You
yes.
want to finish it first?
No, no, no. Go ahead,
Okay.
please.
So I'm having an off-site meeting next Wednesday, and I'm taking my executive team, and there's 11 of them, and we're leaving the building. We're going into a private room where the phones don't ring and nobody gets interrupted. It's the first time I've done this no, second time in 30 years. And we're making our plan to 2030. But I have to open it up by reminding everybody, the plan we had from 20 to 2025 kind of like exploded, right? You guys know what the last 5 years have been like. The world is like, wow, between the tariffs and the COVID and my department store partners, filing for bankruptcy more than once, the consumer changing what she's wearing, the way she shops is changing. Like there is so many things that didn't happen in the last 5 years. I'll make a 5 year plan, but I can promise you it will keep changing. So it's good to have a vision of like the future, and I will stay focused on what I started because I don't believe we're done. I believe that as a brand, we have that consistent reputation, not just in product, which is very important, but also in what our voice is on the outside world. We don't change who we are. We just stay focused on it. So my advice to most people is to remember to stay focused. All right. And the future, that we have to listen to our customer, right? We know who she is. I love it because we now have her career, her age, her address. We can talk to her. We can separate. If our customer isn't wearing dresses, she's not going to get an email about dresses. Technology has helped us do everything better. So the future will become even more efficient, right? The focus will become the same, because I believe that the zone that I'm in, it's hard, we have competition, but it's mainly Europeans. It's a lot of French and it's Italians. We don't have a lot of American competition because Americans are maybe more known for sportswear and casual, and we're doing high-end tailored leather and cashmere and construction of jackets. So, staying in that niche is my main job for our future. But I want to hear what my team has to say. So I can't wait for our day and our offsite meeting. And I think the whole executive team is excited about that because their voices get to be heard. Good ideas come in all shapes and sizes, in all forms. So I want to learn too.
Awesome.
Ama- Amazing. I have just one more question. Will you open more boutiques stores?
Absolutely, yes. Yes. I
Amazing.
believe that the customer that goes into your store has an experience, a different experience than when she's on the computer. Now, we want her to do both. But coming into our store, you get to see the full breadth of the collection, right? Not a department store's version of you. Not, the website is great. We all shop online, but there's something about going into a store that makes a difference. And when she comes in, you can see she's buying more expensive pieces because she's able to touch and feel them. right? She's getting the alterations. She's getting the stylist that knows her closet and is telling her, oh, no, 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 you don't need more black pants, but you need this for your black pants. So, the world has changed the way stylists dress people, okay? And a consumer, like our girl is busy, okay? She most likely has her own stylist anyway, right? And so we work with stylists. We have over 100 independent salespeople all over the country that sell our clothes out of their house 4 times a year. Now, they're only samples, it's not stock, but they service in regions like Little Rock, Arkansas, that I'm not going to open a store there. That's not, I'm going to I opened Chicago, we're opening Dallas in hopefully September, maybe October. We're opening in the bigger cities, but there's plenty of money if you and zip codes of people that need our clothes. So, I always tell people I made a decision to build one brand. And I went to Donna Karan, it was Donna Karan DKNY. And I went to Escada, it was Escada Sport. And Zania was Ermengildo Zania, Zania, I'm going to do one brand. I think that should be my legacy. And I'm going to do one great brand. But there is many channels of distribution within that brand, right? But the consistency of one brand is really important to me, because I did watch over my career, everyone thinks the new baby's the best baby, right? The new brand, the new division. You know what? They're all important, but we're all in the same boat rowing in one direction, and I need to call it one thing. When people want me to buy their brands because we have the factory, or they want us to take over their manufacturing, you know what? That was my past life. I'm not doing that anymore. So again, it's knowing when to say no is just as important as when to say yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you to share with us all your experience and your personal story. And now I give the floor to our VP Education, Veronica, who will present a special recognition for you.
Very sweet.
Vero?
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you. I will share my screen now. So, Shubha, would you like to take the word?
This is a small token of appreciation,
Thank you.
Deirdre, from all of us. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
being here and inspiring us with your wonderful story and Lafayette story. So it's been amazing. This is from all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I could tell you girls, March the 6th, 2026 means a lot to me. My father was born March the 6th, 1926, right? And so he would have been 100 years old today. And he didn't live long enough to know what I did with hopefully he's watching. But that date and sort of giving back to you guys, it means a lot to me. I really appreciate
Thank you.
your interest in the story and in the brand. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It means a lot. Thank you for taking the time out
Same
for
here.
all of you. Thanks.
Okay. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Deirdre, and happy International Women's Day to you and everybody else.
Thank you.
Shall we have a
Thank you.
quick
Same to all of
picture?
you.
Yeah,
We can have a quick
Have
picture.
a picture, everybody.
okay, let me stop
Yes.
and then I will show you the QR code.
Yeah.
So, picture first.
Thank
Picture
you,
first.
Vero. And the password, please.
And if you have your camera, you can turn it on. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. So beautiful, people. Okay, so we are going to have so many pictures because we are like 100 people. So
Yeah, this is a great strength.
so
See,
we
I told you, so many people were excited about this.
yeah, everybody smile. 1, 2, and 3. It's the first one. We're going now with the second one. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. And the last one. 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. Thank you so much. So we have the pictures now.
Thank you, Chris.
Vero, could you share the QR code and the password, please?
Yes, right away. Just 1 second. Here is the QR code and the code word you need to include. And also I will send it in the chat box just in case you can't scan it. So that's it.
Thank you so much. Neha, are you there?
Hello, yes, I'm here, Leslie. Hello, everyone. I would just
Neha,
like to make a quick
can you share with us?
Yes, please. So this is Neha Malhotra here. I'm the chair for Angel Fund, and I am extremely delighted to announce to all of you the official merchandise Angel Fund is now available on Threadless. We will be sharing the link with all of you. And a big shout out and thank you to the entire business development team and the marketing team. This was not possible without your support. So thank you very much. And over to you, Leslie.
Thank you so much, Neha. Well, Shuba, we finish our session. So happy Women's Day for all of our community. Have a nice day and bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm also sharing the link with you for the merchandise so that you can get your merch. And thank you again for being here. We'll be soon together again for another event very soon. So, but we'll keep you posted. Thank you again and happy International Women's Day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.